After dating a man online for a year, we finally planned to meet in Paris. But when I arrived at the airport, I received a message that read, "I'm sorry." I lied. Confused, I tracked down his last known location and found a woman waiting there. She looked at me with tears in her eyes and whispered, "You must be here for him too." When she showed me the truth, I nearly collapsed. I met Ryan on a travel forum in January last year. I had made a post about finally wanting to visit Paris, something that had been on my list since I was a kid. He commented something casual at first. Said Paris was magical and told me about a little coffee place in Montmartre that served the best pain au chocolate he'd ever had. We started talking more in the comments. Then he sent me a message. Then we started chatting every day. I wasn't looking for love. I had just gotten out of a 10-year marriage that ended in a quiet, painful divorce. No cheating or anything dramatic, just two people growing into strangers. Ryan made me feel noticed again. I didn't even know I needed that until it started happening. He was smart and funny. Claimed he worked in cybersecurity, so that's why he sometimes disappeared for a day or two when he was working on a contract. He lived in Boston, but he said his work had him traveling between cities, mostly Boston, sometimes Washington, D.C. I'm in Columbus, Ohio, and we laughed about how our states were boring compared to Paris. We never video chatted. That's the part one kick myself over now. Every time I brought it up, he'd dodge it. At first, he said his webcam didn't work. Then he said he looked horrible on camera. Then he said he dropped his phone and broke the screen, and it didn't work for video. I didn't press it. I should have. But when you're lonely and someone makes you feel special, you want to believe them. He sent selfies. Pictures of his dog, his apartment, his hiking trips. Sometimes he'd send a video clip of his dog playing in the park. Never of himself moving or talking, just short clips that felt personal enough to keep me hooked. It seemed legit. We talked about everything: family, growing up, failed relationships, even what we'd name our kids someday. He had a way of making me feel like we were really building something real. After a year of this, we decided to meet in Paris. He said he'd been thinking about it since we first met, and he wanted our first to be somewhere unforgettable. He said he'd book a boutique hotel near the river. Sent me a confirmation email with the address and dates. He said he'd be waiting at the airport for me with flowers. We counted down the days together. I spent 2 weeks planning outfits, doing my nails, researching places to eat. I was scared but excited. I felt like I was walking towards something new, something better than anything I'd had before. When I landed in Paris, I turned on my phone and saw one message from him. "I'm sorry. I lied. Nothing else." I froze. Right there in the airport with my phone still in my hand. My first thought was, maybe something happened. Maybe someone hacked him. Maybe he got into trouble. I didn't cry. I just stood there in that weird airport silence with people moving all around me like nothing had happened. I tried calling him. Straight to voicemail. Texted him. No answer. I checked the hotel reservation email again. It was still there. So I got a cab and went straight to the hotel. The man at the desk said yes, there had been a reservation under his name, but it was canceled 2 days ago. My heart sank. I asked if anyone had checked in under a similar name or with my name. Nothing. I sat in the little lobby with my carry-on next to me, feeling like a fool. I was about to get up and leave when I saw a woman sitting across from me. She looked sad, tired, like she was waiting for something or someone. Our eyes met. She looked at me hard, like she was trying to figure something out. Then she stood up slowly and came over. "Are you here for Ryan?" she asked. I just stared at her for a second. Then I nodded. She looked like she was going to cry. She whispered, "You must be here for him too." We sat down and talked. Her name was Danielle. She was from Seattle. She met Ryan 8 months ago on a travel app. Same story. Same pictures. Same hotel reservation. Same message, "I'm sorry. I lied." She showed me her texts. My stomach dropped. They were almost identical to mine. The way he talked, the compliments, the pet names, the fake promises. All of it. He used the same damn script. She said, "I think he's done this to more women." And right then I knew I couldn't let this go. I wasn't just going to go home and cry over this. I needed to know who this man really was. And I needed to find out how many others he'd done this to. We went back to our rooms that night and made a plan. We had screenshots, emails, photos, everything. And over the next few days, what we uncovered was something far worse than either of us expected. We didn't sleep much that night. My hotel room felt cold and wrong, like I wasn't even really there. I kept thinking about all the things I had told him, how open I'd been. I'd shared stuff I hadn't even told my ex-husband. I felt stripped bare. Used. The next morning, Danielle and I met at a cafe down the street. We ordered coffee and opened our laptops. She had already created a shared folder for everything we had, screenshots, pictures, messages. We started comparing details. His stories were consistent. Same childhood memories. Same jokes. Same dog. But there were differences too. To her, he claimed his mom had passed away. To me, he said she lived in Florida. To her, he said he had a sister. I never heard about a sister. Small cracks. Just enough to make us wonder how long he'd been spinning these stories. Danielle worked in IT, and she wasn't messing around. She traced the email headers from some of his messages. They didn't come from Boston. A few were from Brooklyn, New York. One was from Jersey City. That gave us a location. We made a burner email pretending to be a new woman interested in him. I used a different name and sent him a flirty message on the travel forum where I'd first met him. He replied in less than 12 hours. Same photos. Same voice. Same lines. Danielle messaged him too, pretending to be someone new. We baited him with different types of personalities. He responded to all of them. He was running a damn network of women. By the end of the week, we had found 5 more. All women from the US or Canada. All with the same story. A few had sent him money. One woman, Nicole, from Austin, Texas, had wired him $3,500 when he told her his dog needed emergency surgery. We made a group chat. At first, it was a lot of crying, anger, disbelief. But then it turned into something else. Rage. He'd played with all of us. Lied to every single one. And worse, he was still doing it. He wasn't even trying to hide it. He was probably sitting somewhere with a glass of wine and his phone, laughing at how easily we all fell for it. That's when we decided. We weren't going to sit and cry anymore. We were going to find him. Really find him. One of the women, Tamara, was a nurse in Newark. She recognized a background from one of the dog photos. Said it looked like a park near her place. That was the first real lead. Danielle and I flew from Paris straight to New Jersey. I didn't even stop home. I just booked a flight. She did the same. We met Tamara at a diner the night we arrived. She showed us the photo and the park she thought it came from. Next morning, we went there and walked for hours. We had no clue what we were really doing. It felt insane. But part of me just knew he was close. And then, on the 3rd day, it happened. Danielle spotted a man walking a golden retriever that looked exactly like the dog in the photos. We froze. He was wearing sunglasses and a beanie, but when he took off the glasses to wipe them, Danielle gasped. It was him. That was the man who had told me he loved me. The man who said he wanted to spend his life with me. The man who made Danielle believe she was his soulmate. And he was right there, walking down a trail in a damn hoodie like he hadn't shattered half a dozen women's lives. We followed him. We trailed him all the way back to an apartment building in Jersey City. He let himself in with a key. That was all we needed. We wrote down the address, took photos, and went straight back to our hotel. That night, we contacted the other women. We were done playing nice. And when we found out who he really was, everything changed. His name wasn't Ryan. That was the first twist. Danielle and I did a reverse image search on one of his dog photos and finally found a match on an old blog from 2015. It belonged to a guy named Mark Ellis. The blog was about hiking and camping with his golden retriever, Cody. But that wasn't our guy. That Mark lived in Oregon, had a wife, and hadn't posted in years. Someone had stolen his photos. So Ryan wasn't just lying, he was hiding behind someone else's life. We kept digging. Danielle ran a trace on the IP from one of the newer emails we'd baited him into sending. This one didn't route through a VPN. Rookie mistake. It came from an IP address linked to an apartment complex in Jersey City. The same one we saw him walk into. We cross-checked the apartment listings. Nothing under Ryan. But one name stood out: Eli Whitmore. That name triggered something for Tamara. She swore she saw it on a LinkedIn profile that matched a few of the work stories he told her. We pulled it up. There he was. Eli Whitmore. IT contractor. No photos, but the work history lined up. We checked public records. The man was 38. Divorced. No kids. Owned a small LLC called Nexus Net Defense. Registered right there in Jersey City. We'd found him. But here's where things took a sharp turn. We debated calling the cops. But the problem was, technically, what he did wasn't straightforward fraud. Some women had sent him money, but not under fake names. There was no promise of business or return. He hadn't legally stolen anything, and he didn't threaten anyone. Emotionally, he wrecked us. But legally, it was gray. So we went another route. We made a website. Danielle built it in one night. It was clean, professional. Simple title: The Truth About Eli Whitmore. It detailed what he did, with screenshots, timelines, and statements from each woman. We didn't get dramatic. We kept it cold and factual. We used his real name, real location, and the fake names he'd used. Then we emailed the link to every client listed on his company's site. We emailed it to his landlord, his former employers, his LinkedIn connections, the Better Business Bureau. Every woman in our group helped spread it. And then, someone unexpected reached out. A woman named Marissa. She didn't find the site through the internet. She found it because her sister forwarded it to her after seeing it on Facebook. She was Eli's ex-wife. And she had something to say. Marissa told us she'd divorced Eli 6 years ago because of emotional abuse and pathological lying. She said he'd done this before, back when they were married. He had multiple fake dating profiles. Always different names, different jobs, different lives. She thought he stopped after she left. She said she'd even warned one woman a few years back, but the girl blocked her. Then she said something that made my blood run cold. There was one girl, she told us, who tried to confront him in person. After that, she stopped answering my messages. I don't know what happened to her. Danielle and I sat in silence. Was it just a rumor? A coincidence? Or had someone else tried to do what we were doing and vanished? We started looking harder, digging into missing persons reports from the last 5 years in the area. We didn't find anything solid. But there was a report from 2019 about a woman from Vermont who traveled to New Jersey to meet someone she'd been dating online. She was never officially listed as missing. Her family said she'd always been a little nomadic. But she disappeared after sending one last text that said, "I think I've been scammed. I'm coming home tomorrow." She never made it home. We sent the report to Marissa. She confirmed it wasn't someone she knew. But the timeline made us sick. Was Eli just a lying creep? Or was he something worse? That night, I barely slept. I kept thinking about what would have happened if I'd been alone in that park. If Danielle hadn't been there. If I had shown up to his building and knocked on his door. Would he have answered? Would he have let me in? Would I have made it back out? We needed to be careful. But I wasn't going home. Not yet. Not until this was finished. We stayed in Jersey City for another week. During the day, we monitored the website. Views started climbing fast. Comments poured in from women we didn't even know. Some thanked us. Some shared their own stories. Some just left broken heart emojis. At night, we watched Eli. We'd set up a small camera near the street where he walked his dog. Danielle, Tamara, and I took turns sitting in the rental car with binoculars and our phones. We weren't doing anything illegal. We were just watching, waiting. We didn't want to act until we knew what we were dealing with. Then, on a Wednesday evening, he vanished. He didn't walk the dog, didn't leave the building. No one saw him for 2 days. That's when Danielle's phone buzzed. It was Eli. But he wasn't texting her as Ryan. He was texting her new burner profile, the one she created just a few weeks ago. She had used a fake name, Melissa. But in the message, Eli called her Danielle. He knew. He'd figured it out. He wrote, "You think you're smart. You don't know what you're messing with. Walk away." My blood ran cold when I read it. He wasn't just some loser behind a screen. He was watching us now. He'd caught on. We decided to go to the police. Finally, it didn't matter if they thought it was weak evidence. At least we'd be on record. At least if something happened, there'd be a trail. We gave them everything: his name, his aliases, the women, the money, the threats. The detective listened carefully. He nodded a lot, took notes. But in the end, all he said was, "We'll look into it." We walked out feeling worse than when we went in. The next day, our site got taken down. Reported for privacy violations. We got emails saying we'd violated terms of service. We appealed, but it didn't matter. Eli was one step ahead. Again. But I wasn't done. That night, I walked straight up to his building and waited. I knew I shouldn't. Danielle begged me not to go. But I needed to look him in the eye. I needed him to see that I wasn't afraid anymore. He came out just after 9 p.m., walking the dog like nothing had happened. Like none of this had touched him. I stepped in front of him. He froze. We stared at each other for what felt like forever. "You ruined my life," I said. "You tricked me, used me, made me feel like I was worth something, and then ripped it away." He didn't look sorry. He looked amused. "You're not the first," he said. "You won't be the last." That was when I slapped him. Hard. My hand stung, but I didn't care. I'd never hit anyone in my life. But in that moment, I felt more alive than I had in months. He flinched, but then he smirked. "Go ahead. Hit me again. See where it gets you." I didn't. I just stared at him. Then I turned and walked away. But it wasn't over. Not yet. The next week, Danielle's brother, who worked in cybersecurity for real, helped us pull every record connected to Eli's fake business. Turns out, his LLC had been used to funnel money from more than 24 women. Enough for tax fraud, at the very least. We packaged it all up and sent it to the IRS, the FBI, and every local news station we could find. And one station bit. They ran the story under the title, "Digital Predator: The Web of Lies of Eli Whitmore." It went viral. Overnight, Eli's business was blacklisted. His apartment building got flooded with reporters. A lawyer representing 3 of the women filed a civil suit for fraud and emotional damages. His accounts were frozen for investigation. He tried to vanish again. But we kept the pressure on. And then, in the middle of it all, we found her. The woman from Vermont, the one who went missing in 2019, she had moved to Canada. She had changed her name. She hadn't vanished. She had just broken down so badly from what Eli did to her. She ran and didn't look back. Her brother saw the news story and recognized the photo. She came forward. With her statement, the police finally had enough. They arrested him at a rest stop in Pennsylvania 2 weeks later. He was trying to get to Virginia, they said. Maybe trying to start again. Eli Whitmore was charged with fraud, identity theft, and multiple counts of wire fraud. No murder. No violence. But enough to ruin his life like he tried to ruin all of ours. I went home. It didn't feel like justice, not completely. I still had to rebuild myself. I still had nights where I woke up wondering if any of it had been real. But every time I saw another woman comment, "He got me too," I felt like we stopped something bigger. I lost myself to a lie. But I found something too. I found that when women stand together, we don't just survive, we burn the whole damn lie to the ground. And Eli? He'll rot behind bars, surrounded by silence. No more fake love. No more names. Just the truth echoing back at him. I hope he hears it every single day.